Hello everyone, my name is Anjali Gupta and I'm presently working with Microsoft in their Windows team. Here on Euron, we are conducting a course on system design where we are going to be learning what system design is. Why do you even have to learn system design? How it is helpful for developers? And if you are actually stuck in some system design rounds, so how you should be answering. So I'm going to be helping you by providing you some guidelines about how to answer in any system design rounds, like how you can be interview ready for a system design round. At the same time, we are also going to be discussing some of the case studies with the help of which you will able to understand any of the system end to end. So this course is going to be super interesting. Let's get started. So before jumping into system design, let's just take some example. Okay, so let's take an example of some house. Like let us say you have bought a land and you want to build a house. Okay, it's not that you will straight away go and construct a house there, correct? But what you will do, you are going to be taking help of some of the architect who is going to come to your house, see the dimensions of your land, and based upon that he is going to be creating a layout for that. Okay, now after that layout is ready, it's not that it is going to be the final one. You are going to give some of your feedbacks. If you're not liking something, you are going to say that, hey, can we have a bedroom here? Hey, can we have a kitchen there? Can we have a lobby there? Like based upon your requirements, you are just going to be having some of your inputs. By taking those inputs, the architect is going to create another layout, and once you are approving it, then he will go ahead and perform the construction for that. Correct? So if you will just take that same example in the field of software development, so something similar to that happens even here. Okay, here what we are going to be doing, a person is going to come up with some of the request that, hey, I want this problem to get addressed. In order to solve that problem, what you will be doing, you are going to provide some solution. Now, before jumping into implementation of that solution, what you will do, you are going to create a layout for that. Then you are going to be proposing that layout to that company. If that company is approving it, then you will go ahead and perform the implementation. But prior to that, there are going to be several rounds of discussions where we are going to be seeing what the needs of the customer are, and are solutions correctly optimized, performing the solution well or not. So that is how it is going to be there. So this system design is extremely interesting and important. Okay, so here as a part of this course, we are going to be learning your low level design as well as the high level design. As a part of your low level design, we are going to be learning certain things like what design principles are, what design patterns are, how you are going to be applying those in your software. And in the part of high level design, we are going to be discussing things like how you can scale your system, how you can optimize your system, how you are going to be applying database. Like as a student, even I'm sharing my own example. As a student, I used to think that, okay, if we have something called as RDBMS, so that is something which we are going to be applying everywhere. But when I grew up, I understood that, okay, even as a even for a project, it's not going to be same for all the scenarios. We are going to be having different set of databases. So what those different databases are there, how you're going to be making those decisions, what cap theorem is there, what is horizontal scaling, what is partitioning, all of those things we are going to be covering as a part of your high level design. Okay, so if you will see, when you are working for any of the company, correct? So what your role is going to be there, you are going to be, let us say, a developer there. So what as a developer you are going to be doing for that company, how you are going to be contributing there. So you are going to see that what any of these companies across us are doing. So we are actually having some real life problems, and what any of these companies are doing, so they are trying to provide you some solution for your real life problems. Now we can actually discuss what are these real life problems and what are we actually saying here. Let's make some sense here. Okay, so let's see, like, I'm talking about some time back. Okay, so let's talk about some 15 years back or 20 years back. At that particular time, it was not easy to do anything through your phone. Like, if you want to get something done, you will have to step outside your home and you will have to get all of those things done. Everything required a lot of patience plus a lot of process. But now, if you will see, if you want anything, everything is available at your fingertips. So let's take the example of cabs. So, like, previously, like, let us say my family wanted to go out for some vacation. It's not that we can just book some cab. We used to go outside, we used to talk to some travel agents who are willing to provide us some cab, provide us some quotation. We used to take quotation from different people, finalize one, and we used to wait for that guy to come to our home to pick us up. And if he is not showing us up, we used to go outside and try out other agents. So that is how it used to be working back then. But if you will see today's scenario, what is happening, if you want to book a cab, you have options of Ola, Uber, correct? All of these applications are helping you in booking a cab. If you want to buy groceries, so previously the only, like, now also we are stepping outside to buy groceries. But if you want, like, if you are not well or if you're just feeling lazy, if you don't want to step outside, then what you have applications available for that. And these days, like, if you will just see, they are literally delivering at your doorsteps in 10 minutes, which is really incredible, right? So you have options of Blinkit, you have Zepto, you have Big Basket, and so on, like many other platforms. Now let us say you are hungry and you just want to eat some food and you don't feel like cooking. So previously you just had the option of going to some restaurant, ordering some food and take home and then eat, correct? Now if you will see, if you want to order food, you have options like Zomato, you have Swiggy, based upon different regions where you guys are staying, correct? Like previously, if you were not well, you don't have the option of getting medicines at your home. But now if you will see, for medicine, you have options like 1mg, you have Practo. Similarly, like, these are the things which where we are just ordering some service at our doorsteps. If you want to make friends, previously it was only possible like if you're going outside, meeting new folks, making friends and all. But now if you will see, everything is possible even from home. You have applications like Facebook, Instagram. If you want to date people, you have applications like Bumble, Tinder, and whatnot. So these are the applications. So what these applications are doing, so these are actually targeting in providing solution for your real life problems. And how they are providing solution, they are actually building a software, and that software is helping us in providing the solution for all of these things, right? Now we are going to be discussing what and all steps are involved while developing any of the project in any of the in any of the organization. So I'm not going to be telling you about how we have done it in any of the books. I'm going to be telling you how we do it in the practical perspective. Okay, so the first step which we have here is going to be the requirement gathering. As the name suggests, we are going to be gathering the requirements. Now, this is going to be the first step in any of the application development. You cannot go ahead without gathering the requirements. So what we are going to be doing here, we are going to be collecting all the information and we are going to be understanding what the problem we are trying to be solving from that project. Now, we understood, okay, we have to gather the requirements, but the question is from where you are going to be gathering it, from where you are going to be getting all that information. So we have two sources for that. So the first one is going to be the customers. Now what you can do, you can go ahead and directly talk to the customers. You can like, let us say you are coming up with some groceries application. Now that is something which everyone is going to be using. So these are going to be the ultimate customers for that, correct? So what you will do, you are going to go ahead and conduct some of the surveys, and with the help of those surveys, you can also conduct some of the polls. You can ask what the potential customer problems are, what issues they are facing, how then you will have to put more energy on solving all of those issues. So what problems they are facing, what features they are actually looking for. So you need to understand what the customer's requirement is there. So you can conduct that after having some of the surveys. Okay. So the second one is going to be the product managers. Now, what is going to be the meaning of this? So if you talk about some of the large companies, so their product managers are going to be there, who are going to be telling you that, okay, these are the requirements. So they are going to go ahead and define the requirements. So they are actually the specialists in the organization, in the market, where they are going to be understanding what the competitors are doing. They are also going to be studying the market needs. They are also going to be coming up what is the best we can deliver as a part of that team. So based upon the research, they come up with the ideas like, okay, this is the new feature or this is the new improvement which we can do, and later on they pass it to the developers. So if you talk about the company like Urban Company. So previously this was known by Urban Collapse as well. Okay. So what this Urban Company was doing, so this, like, the main approach of this application is helping you in providing the technician for some home service. So previously, getting all of those things was very difficult. It was a hassle. People used to make multiple calls to the technician and they used to wait for all of them, and at the same time they also used to face some of the uncertainty about if they are going to come up or not. Now that is the issue which previously people had. What this Urban Company did, they came up and recognized their problem. They created a platform where with just single click you have the option of booking the technician, right? And by solving this problem, like, this is a common issue which everybody was facing. By doing this, they automated the process and they made the life easier for everyone. So in this case, if you will see, Urban Company has gathered the requirements by understanding the pain points of the customer, and they addressed all of them with a solution. So this is one of the way to gather the requirements, by talking to your customers directly. So that way you will get to know what these guys are, what issues they are facing, and then you can look into providing the solution for their real life problems. If you talk about startups, where, like, if you will talk about a startup, the team size is going to be smaller, that then the developers themselves will take the initiative to identify the problems and they are going to be suggesting the solution. And why I have taken this thing up, because, like, the startup is where people are already having some idea, and then that idea is going to be discussed among the entire team, and they all come up, like, the similar set of people, and then they all work together so that their ideas can improve the application, or they can also solve some of the customer requirement. Once you have gathered all the requirements, the next step is going to be defining the problem statement. Because initially, like, I can say implement a button. Now, what button you want? I need to define it down. That, okay, I want you to implement a login button. And after clicking on that, I want you to open a login page. So that is what defining the problem statement is. So this is where you are going to understand what the exact problem you want to solve, and whether it is going to be coming from the customer need or some product manager insights or the developer's idea. Like, the source could be different, but the idea overall is, like, the overall goal is to identify what product needs to achieve. So if you talk about the requirement gathering phase, so this is very important because it sets the foundation for everything that comes next. With this, you will get to know, okay, how it's actually going to get implemented, what you are going to expect next. And without a clear understanding of the problem, it is not easy for you or for anyone to build any useful and scalable product. If you are very clear with the requirements, then only it will be easier for you to go ahead and perform the implementation for the same. Yeah. Now, when you talk about any of the application, everyone is going to be having one big question, that is it going to happen over a day? Are we going to build it in a day? So the answer is no for that. because if you are going to be building any of the application, that cannot happen in a day or two. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of coordination, and based upon all of that only we can expect the delivery of the same. This application building is actually going to be involving a lot of phases. It is going to be having the design phase, it is going to be having the development phase, and once it is developed, you are also going to be performing the testing of the same. And once you have tested, once you are very sure about all of the features, once it is working end to end correctly, the next one is going to be the deployment. So once everything is all up and ready, you are going to go ahead and deploy it so that it will be available for the other users as well. If you talk about any of the big companies like, Facebook, even if like, if you talk about that application, like, a lot of people actually have this question as well that, okay, if you talk about Facebook, so that is already built. So now if it is already built and a lot of people are already using it, now what is the need of having a development team for that application? Like, like as per them, they just think that, okay, if the application is all up and ready and available in the market, we do not need a set of engineers who are still working on that. But if you will see why that team is already there, so that they can work on two things here. This app is actually going to be involving a lot of updates and improvements. At the same time, we are also going to be having some of the enhancements as well, new features as well. So the team is going to be working on improvements. At the same time, they are also going to be working on the enhancements. They are going to be improving the application by providing new features. Correct. So these things are going to be taken care by the development team. So already if the project is there, still we get a lot of, like, we need a lot of team which is going to be maintaining it. Even if you talk about your phone, if, like, if you are having some app store or play store, you can see after certain number of days we keep on getting updates from all of these applications. And what these updates are doing, either they are going to come up with some of the new feature or some of the improvements. Like if something, like, sometimes you must have seen, if you will go ahead, what's new, they will specify, we have added this new feature or we have improved the security patch or something. So if you will go ahead there, you will understand that what the team is actually doing, they are improving it. Even if it is some game, they will try to add either some new feature, new levels, or they will just try to add some new boosters or something in order to make it all interesting. Otherwise it will get monotonous and people will not consume it after a certain time or a certain period of time. But if you will keep on adding some new things there, it will be all exciting even for a customer to use it. So you can say this is the customer retainability which is required for any of the application. So this engineering team that is going to be required so that our application can grow even after the initial launch. And this team is also going to be responsible for maintaining and scaling the application. And this team is going to be ensuring that we are improving the performance and we are also adding some of the new features. So this is what the role of engineers is going to be doing, and their role is never going to get finished. Because if an app, like, if we are discontinuing that application, if we are shutting it down, like you can take the example of Orkut, if something like that is happening, then the team is actually going to get dissolved. But as long as that application is still up and running in the market, we will still need a set of engineers who will ensure about all of these things. Okay, because there is always going to be a room which is going to be there for the improvement, innovation, adaptation to the new customer needs. So we have understood, if we want to get the requirements, how we can get it, we have majorly two sources, the customers and from the product managers. At the same time, like, one more source is there, which is the self driven ideas. So based upon these sources, you can go ahead and get. So this was the first step in the development of any of the application, that how you will go ahead and gather the requirements. Now, once the requirements are gathered, the next step is going to be scoping. So what do you mean by scoping? Okay. So, like, this step is extremely important in the software development cycle, where you are going to be defining the scope of your project. So what you will be doing, so like, your entire application is going to be a bigger one. Now what you will do, instead of implementing, like, if you have any project, This will have lots of features. Let us say feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, and so on. Now, instead of delivering all the features at one, you can go ahead and define a scope for the features. Like you can say in the one go, I am going to be delivering these set of features, and in the second go, I am going to be delivering these set of features. So what you are doing, you are defining the scope. You are going to be telling it, you are announcing, like, even when you work in any of the company, you must have seen we follow a roadmap. With that roadmap, what we do, we try to uh, tell it to the organization and to the outside world as well, that okay, this is how we are planning, we are scoping our work, that okay, by this time frame we are expecting the delivery of this feature, by this time frame we are expecting the testing of this feature. So that is how we are going ahead and defining it down. So basically what we are doing here, we are going to be determining which features will be included in the initial versions and how the development process will unfold over a period of time, like over the period of time what and all features you are going to get it better. Now in order to understand it better, let me take the example of some 5-story building. Now let us say you are at the ground floor and your goal is to reach at the top floor. Now, like, unless you are some Spider-Man or Superman, you cannot just go ahead and jump on the top floor. If you want to go there, what you will have to do, you will have to define it in a way that okay, first I will go to one floor, after that I will have 4 more floors, then I'll go to second floor, then I will have 3 more floors. So what you are basically doing, you are breaking it down floor by floor, and one by one only you are going to reach on the top. So that is how it is going to be there. So if you want to reach on the top floor, you can even take some stairs or some elevator. But if you will see, even if it is stairs, you are going to climb them one by one, or even if it is elevator, it will go one floor by one floor. You are not going to go to the top floor directly. Okay, so that option is not there. So what basically I'm trying to explain you here is that if you want to do something, you will have to do certain things step by step. You cannot reach the end in the single go. In order to reach there, you will have certain set of steps involved. Like let us say you are hungry, let us say you have to cook your own meal, you do not have any other option. So it's not that if you are hungry you can just straight away eat it. The first step is going to be buying it from the market, buying the groceries from the market. The second step is going to be cleaning it down, performing the initial chopping and everything. Then you will have to start the cooking. The cooking also involves a lot of procedure, the time frame. And once everything is done, then only you will have it already in your plate and then you can consume it. So if you want to eat something, like I'm not giving you the option of buying it from outside. I'm just saying if you have to cook it on your own, you will have to follow certain steps. So that way only it will be easier for you to like it will be possible for you to consume. Okay, so in the same way, when you start working on any of the big application or any of the software project, you do not try to build everything all at once. Instead what you do, you start with some of the core features, like if you want to just if you take the example of this story building, so if you want to climb one, you are actually defining your work, like okay, in one go I have to reach the first floor. So how you are going here step by step. Similarly, when you talk about any of the application, that is how it is going to be working. So basically what we do, just how we have broken down our work here. Similarly, if you want to perform any of implementation of any of the project, your task is actually going to be breaking it down into smaller manageable pieces. Even if you talk about some of the big products like Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, LinkedIn, Google, so none of these things was built in a single day. These apps were built over the time with smaller features which were added gradually. So, like, when you work on any of the application, it is very essential for you to focus upon what features you want at the first. Of course, like, if you talk about any of the application, like let us say you are building some shopping application, so you cannot go ahead and perform each and every step in one day. But what you can do, like you can plan your work, like in one day I will be listing down all the products, in the second day I am going to be implementing the login page, third day I am going to be adding the support for card, Fourth day, I'm going to be adding the support for checkout. Although, like, here I'm taking very less time frame, but all I'm trying to do is to break it down. Like, okay, these are the steps I'm going to be needing. And once it is all ready, then only you can work on the delivery. Like, why I'm putting a lot of focus here on the scoping, because that is one of the most common mistakes which a lot of developers do. Even when I was a student, like, I thought of building one application, but with that, like, since I was just a student, I had zero idea about how to do it. And I was thinking, if I am creating any application, I have to look into all of those things from the day one itself. But no, it doesn't happen that way. If you are building any application, you don't have to make everything ready on the day one. Even if you talk about any of the application, like if you talk about Facebook, the initial UI of that application was different as compared to what you have today. That application has grown over a period of time. They have added a lot of features as well which were not there earlier. So if you will see, that app has grown over the period of time. So when you build any of the application, it's very essential for you to understand you are not going to do everything on day one. It's going to get scattered over a period of time. Now let's take the example of, like, let us say you are going to be building some application like Facebook. Okay, now it can have a lot of complex features. So you cannot build everything at once, but what you can do, you can build smaller features. Okay, now what can be the smaller features? So let us say the first one is going to be sending friend request. And you also want to add friends. So this is going to be one feature, that you should be able to send requests and you should be able to add friends. Okay. Now the second one is going to be, like, the second feature could be something like post on wall. I'm talking about the initial Facebook. Okay. That time we had wall. So if you want to post something on your wall, so that could be one of the feature. Now after this, if you have friends added there, maybe you want to add the support for chatting so that you can go ahead and chat with your friends. So add support for, or add chat support. So what I have done here, I have broken down all my features, that okay, these are the three features which I want to implement first. And once these features are going to get implemented, like, once all of these are implemented, then I can go ahead and implement next set of features. The next set of features could be something like upload image, upload video. You can also add support for liking or commenting. So once initial set of features are delivered, then these are the next set of features I am going to be doing. So if you will see what I am doing, I am breaking down my entire project into smaller features. And with this, what I'm doing, I'm making my entire development process manageable and achievable. So this is what we refer by scoping, where we are defining the work which needs to get done and how I can break it down into smaller and achievable tasks. If you talk about any of the, like, any of the typical company or the software development process, we don't work on the entire project, on the entire product from the start to finish all by yourself. We actually go ahead and take help from the other teams as well. Like, one team is going to be dedicated for the testing. Like, of course we have certain teams where everything is taken care by one person only, but if you will see on a broader picture, there will be, like, even in the team there will be certain expertise in the testing, there are going to be certain expertise in the front end, back end. So what we will be doing, we are going to be dividing it, and you don't have to do everything on your own. You are going to be dividing it in that team so that everyone can take care of some of the responsibilities. So it is very important for you to understand, especially if you are still learning or if you are very new in the industry, that you don't have to do everything on your own. It's going to get broken down in the entire team with the scope, that okay, I want it by the end of this month, or I want it at the end of this quarter. So in the organizations, basically what happens, we break down our entire feature into smaller features. Like, even if it is a bigger feature, then also we break it down into smaller one. And if it is if it is achievable in certain number of days, we just scope it down. Okay, this work 5 days, this work 10 days. So that is how we scope it out. So once we are breaking it down into smaller features, then we plan when you can work on them. So in the industry, generally, all these things, it happens in the quarters. So in the entire year, we will have 4 quarters: quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. So basically, in the organizations, our work is divided into 4 quarters. So you will be focusing upon developing special features in all these quarters, and this is also going to be helping the entire team so that they can set their clear goals, and they will know what features to be done in the given timeline in the given time frame. And even if you talk about my organization, so we have some core responsibility, we will be actually building some of the roadmap, where we will be saying something like, okay, starting off Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then we will say, okay, by this, at least this task is going to get done. By this time, I'm going to be testing it. By this time, I'm going to be deploying it. And this I'm going to be doing even on the feature level, that, okay, this feature is going to get completed by this time, tested by this time, and deployed by this time. So that is how I'm going to be creating a roadmap where I'm going to be scoping my work over spread over the entire year. So if you are going to be defining the scope, it's going to give you a lot of clarity. People are not going to come to you repeatedly and asking that, hey, is this task done or not? If you will have this clear roadmap, people will have the clarity about what they have to do when. Even the teammates are going to know when to do what. So what we do in the part of scoping, we plan which features will be developed in which quarter. Okay, so that is how it is going to be there. Now let's say that you are working on some social media application. Now let us say in the quarter one, you are defining what work you want to get done at the end of each quarter. So let us say in quarter one, you are going to be focusing on some of the core features, like you will go ahead and perform user registration. The second feature could be something like login. So these are the core features, on the first go, you want a user to register themselves. They want to, they should be able to log in. And the last one could be profile creation. Now, in the next quarter, what features we can have it? It can have features like adding friends. You should be able to post on wall. Okay, you should be also able to like posts. So these are the tasks which I'm dividing in the quarter two. Now in the quarter three, we can have the functionality of add chat support. All right. At the same time, we are also going to be providing the option of image and video upload. Now, let us say you talk about quarter four. In this, let us say now you are adding the support of notifications. You're also adding the support of searching some user, like you want to add someone. So you're going to be searching it, right? So that option should also be there. Then you can also go ahead and add some premium features. Now, if you will see, for this, I have separated down my work in different quarters. If you will see, I am not going ahead and implementing everything in day one. Even if you will see the premium features that I have added at the end, because let us say you're coming up with some new application, and on the day one itself, you're going to mark it as paid. How a user is even going to use it, correct? In order to make it even if you talk about some of the applications, they will provide you some of the basic features which are available for free. For the advanced features, they are going to charge you. So with the basic one, people are actually going to be testing out your application, if it is really good one, if you are going to get some like good use case out of it or not. So once you are able to see how your application is going to be working in the basic manner, it will be easier for the customers to understand your application and start using it. So basically what we are doing here, we are breaking down our bigger project into smaller ones. And we are also trying to be seeing that when we are breaking it down, we are breaking it down based upon the achievable goals. It should not be something like it's not at all achievable, so that the entire project, it should be there on the track, and we can also ensure that it is going to get delivered on time, plus it can have a visible growth. Okay, now the next one which we have here is, like, we are going to be discussing why scoping is important. So far we have discussed what scoping is. Now we are going to be discussing why is scoping important. So, like, if we talk about scoping, so how it is actually helping you. You are having a bigger project, which is complex. With the help of scoping, what you are doing, you are managing the complexity. Instead of building everything at once, what you are doing, you are focusing upon some set of features at a time. And with that, you are trying to make the project go smooth. Okay. With the help of scoping, what you are doing, you are also setting clear goals, like I discussed about the roadmaps. So with that, what is helpful here, you are actually going to be telling the organization or the team that, okay, this is what work we have. You are setting that goals very clear to them, and how you are achieving it, by breaking it down into smaller tasks, so that everyone in the team knows what needs to get done and when. Along with this, it also helps you in the better time management, because if you talk about any of the big project, like, if you talk about any project on the day one, it will be very difficult for you to understand how much work you need to deliver when. And in that case, it will be very difficult for you to manage your time effectively. But if you are going to be breaking down your work in the quarters, you are actually setting some realistic target for each phase of development. Just now we have seen that, okay, in the different quarters, I want this and that to get done. So it will also be easier for you to manage your time. Like, you are going to be planning it out accordingly. Also, if you will see, by scoping, you're also ensuring the steady progress. Because if you talk about any of the application, if you are not going to see any of the outcome out of it, you're not going to understand what you are doing and where all of those things are actually going. But if you are going to set some smaller and achievable goals, in that case your project can evolve gradually, and by that you're also going to be avoiding any kinds of delays. And if you are setting some of the timeline, you are also going to be ensuring that you're going to be matching all of those deadlines. Now, the next one which we are going to be discussing is going to be your MVP. MVP stands for minimal viable product. Now, what is the meaning of this? So, if you will look around, today we have a lot of startups. And if you will see behind all of these startups, majorly the people are the young brains. What do I mean by young brains? Means they are early in their careers and they are very enthusiastic about what they want to do. They really want to have something of their own. They want to start their own company. So they are going to be very excited about their idea, and they also want to pitch into the investors. However, if you are just going to approach to the investors with just an idea, and if you will talk about it vaguely that, hey, I just want to have this idea and I really want to go ahead and perform it, they might not consider that you are serious enough about it. Because anyone can go ahead and talk about the idea, but that is not going to make a strong impression. But what you should be doing, you should be going ahead and coming up with some of the POC. That POC stands for proof of concept. So what we actually do in this POC, we are going to be creating a simple prototype, or you can say a basic version of your application. So if you want to pitch into the investors, what you will have to do, if you have some idea, you should not be going to them directly. Instead, you should be coming up with some POC. That POC should be having some basic features here. Okay, and if that basic feature is going to be having a basic, like you can say some simple prototype about what your idea is all about, how you are envisioning that idea, how you can go ahead and achieve it. So all of those things are going to be coming as a part of this POC. So that POC is actually going to be having some of the core feature which is going to be telling about how your idea is going to be working, and that is actually called as MVP. So if you are having that minimal viable product, once you have all of these things ready, then you should be going ahead and pitching it to the investors. So that is actually going to help the investors in understanding that, okay, you have some great idea on the table and you have the caliber of implementing it, and based upon that they are going to be evaluating you, showing that you are serious enough about your idea and your idea has the potential of growing over the period of time. So this is actually going to be some smaller application only. It's not going to be having everything implemented from end to end. Similarly, if you talk about any of the corporate setting, so as a developer, again, you can have some great idea, some new feature or some tool, but you can just not go ahead and say that, hey, I'm having this idea and I want to implement this or that. In that case, because even if you want to implement anything as a part of a corporate, you cannot go ahead and do it because everything involves a set of approvals. In order to get the approval from the higher authorities like VPs or directors, that is something which is not going to be easy if you are not having an MVP. If you want to convince them with the words alone, it's going to be getting little difficult. But if you are having some smaller application which is having some minimal features which is demonstrating your concept, your idea, so that concept, that small application, that demo is going to be acting as a proof where they can see its value. They might give you more resources to build it out. It's not that, okay, if you are having some idea you have to do it on your own. They might help you out in taking the help. Okay, but all of those things are depending upon how you are presenting it out, how you are building that MVP. So that basic application is very required. The MVP is very much required. So in order to simplify this more, you can think MVP as some tester. So if you are going to some shop, let us say you want to buy a perfume, and a lot of perfumes are very much expensive. So what you can do, you can go to a shop and you can ask for a tester. With that tester, let us say, just example, the perfume is of 10,000. Now the tester you are going to get, sometimes some application like Smitten, they have started selling out the samples. So example, if this tester is costing you somewhere around 100 rupees or 200 rupees, so instead of spending your entire 10K, what you can do, you can buy a tester, you can use that fragrance on you, you can see for how long that is lasting on you, and accordingly you can take a call if you want to go ahead and invest your money in that. So what basically this tester is doing here, this is actually helping you by providing a smaller version of the entire product so that it can help you guys to decide if you really want to buy it or not. So far, if you will see what and all we have, what and all we have covered as a part of our software development here. So first one which we discussed was your requirement gathering. And the second one which we have covered is scoping. I hope by now you must be very clear about all of these things. Okay. Now, once we have created a MVP, now what is going to the next work here? So once you have provided your concept, the next step is going to be building any application. And if you want to build any of the application, that requires understanding what the infrastructure requirement is going to be doing. And all of those things are actually going to be covered as a part of this system design, where you will tell that, okay, if I want to create a chatting application, if one message is taking 1 KB and if 1 million users are using it, then how much space it is going to take overall. So all of those things are going to be covered as a part of infrastructure requirement. Okay. So like whenever you will have to build any of the application, it is going to be requiring three major components, and what and all those are going to be there. So the first one which we will have here is going to be compute. The second one is going to be the storage. The third one is going to be network. Now, what and all these are, how we are considering them while making any of the applications. So all of those things we are going to be covering one by one. But I hope by now you will have a fair idea about if we are building any of the application, what and all things we are going to be requiring there. Okay. So if you talk about today's world, everything is revolving around data. All the devices, all the applications, if you talk about mobile phones or the laptops, everything is working upon processing and manipulating the data. It's not that these apps are trying to track you where, like, to keep an eye on you, to spy on you, but what they all are actually trying to do, they are trying to help you in improving the personalized user experience. And how they are doing, like, let's take some of the examples so that you can understand it better. Okay, let's take the example of Uber. If you will talk about Uber, like, let us say you want to book an application, book a ride on the Uber. In that case, what will happen, you will expect that driver to reach to your doorstep to pick you and then drop you to the destination, correct? That is what your end goal is from the Uber. Now if you will see how Uber is able to process your request, so it is using the map data there to locate where you are, at the same time to navigate to your destination. So all of those things are only possible by providing your own data there. If you are not providing your current location, the driver is not able to reach to your destination, correct? The next one which we have here is, let us say, Google. So if you talk about Google, what is happening there, like, let us say you have went outside. Okay, now they will like, even if you will open some maps or something, based upon what your user data is there, they are going to be suggesting you places accordingly, right? So based upon your user data and behavior, because they will also be analyzing, okay, if this guy goes here, like, if you will see what map is doing, they are constantly taking care of your location. If you will go and you will see the timeline on the Google Maps, it will actually be able to tell you how you have spent your entire day. It will have the entire timeline about where you have gone, how you have commuted. Like, it will also be providing you a summary in the mails where it will tell, okay, in this quarter you have been to these many places, you have eaten at these many places, you have spent this much time here and that. So all of those things, how it is able to provide you with the help of your user data only. Even if you will see your mobile phones and all, it is very, like, they also provide you how much time you have spent on all of these applications. So they are also tracking your user data, like, if you are opening WhatsApp, how much time you have spent there, and then accordingly they are going to be telling you about how much time you have spent on all of these applications, right? The next we have is Netflix, or you can say YouTube, both. Now, if you will have observed here, what happens, like, let us say you have watched some animated movie or some cooking shows on YouTube. What will happen? The next time you are going to open their application, they are going to be providing you some personalized recommendations based upon your preferences. So if you have watched some animated movie, in next time they will say that based upon your watch history, we are recommending you the movies which you may like. Or if you have watched some YouTube cooking video, the next time you will open YouTube, you will see a lot of cooking videos by the different YouTubers. So what they are doing, they are taking the user data, or you can say the user preference, and based upon that they are able to provide the personalized recommendations. And how it is even helpful, so if you will see, as a user, you, if you are very much interested into watching only cooking videos, so how it is helpful for you, because you do not have to navigate to the different YouTube channels to see some related content. Instead, it will provide you the recommendations on the YouTube homepage, where it will be easier for you to see the different videos. So it is helping your experience overall, right? Similarly, let's take the example of ads. What will happen, like let us say you have opened some Myntra and you have looked for certain trouser there. Later on, what will happen, if you will open any of your website, they are going to be showing you some trouser recommendations from the different websites. So what it is doing, so based upon your browsing data, it is providing you recommendation upon what you might be liking and how it is helpful for you, because you as a user, your major target is to buy a trouser. If it is providing you some personalized recommendation, that is going to make your work easier only, because you do not have to go to different websites to see what collection and what price they are offering. In the form of ads, you're able to see all of that. So if you will see here, overall what we have some interaction with the data. And if you will see in today's world, what is driving today's modern world, so data is something which is driving it out. And that is why if you will see what concepts we have, something like data science, big data, so that is something is coming into the picture. Data is the new oil which has gained a lot of prominence over the period of time. And if you will see what all the businesses are doing, they're understanding what is the importance of the data, what is the power of data, how it is actually going to be helping you out overall. Okay, so the data is something which was already there, but it has evolved over the period of time. Previously data was limited, but now if you will see, the data has evolved exponentially. Now we are going to see that at a higher level, how applications are dealing with data. So applications are dealing with data in two of the forms. The first one is going to be how you are storing your data. Now, why this is even coming into the picture? That is because if you have some data, like example, we have something like Google Drives. We are uploading our pictures there. What is the one thing which we want as a user there? We want our data should be safe. At the same time, we want our data to be accessible. So that is why all of these applications are targeting on these things, that whatever data we are putting there, that should be safe and it should be accessible, that if we want it later, it should be easier for us to go ahead and access it. The second one which we have here is going to be computing it out. What is the meaning of computing data? That is, like, we are like, I'll give you a very small example here before jumping into what it is and how we are going to be using it out. Let us say you are creating some profile on some application. So there you are going to be providing your name. So once you are going to log in on some of the applications, you must have seen on the top, they will mention your name. Hi, ABC, and then you will have your entire browsing page, landing page. So if you have seen from where they have taken this out, so they have computed their data from there, they have taken your name out, they have processed it, they have analyzed it to make the decisions and provide the results. So this is the very small example, but like, in the broader picture also, we will be having a lot of data, like, just let's talk about some banking application. Okay, there what will happen, you want to see your transactions, and based up, like, in this database, it will have all the transactions from the beginning time till now, correct? All of these things are going to be there, but let us say you only want to see some March 2024 data. So what you will do, you're going to be putting that filter here. These things even the applications like Amazon are doing. So if you will go to the order history, they will show you some limited set of orders, but they will give you the option of filtering your orders out. So accordingly, you can also see your cancelled orders, your regular orders, the time frame, the year where you want to locate your product, so that you don't have to scroll down each and everything. You will only have some limited set of piece of information in front of you. So that is what we actually refer by computing the data. So whenever we are building any of the application, these are the two operations which determine what infrastructure you are going to be needing. Now we are going to be breaking down the infrastructure here. So the first one which we see here is going to be compute. Now we are going to be needing some computational power to process the data. That is going to be involving, like, just now I gave you the example that if you want some of the data only of the March month, or something only from the year 2023 or something like that. So in order to perform all that computation, what you are going to be needing, you're going to be having the access of some running algorithms, which is going to be helping you out by managing the user request, and on the top of that they are going to be performing some of the calculations. So this power is going to be coming from the servers or the computers, which is going to be performing this thinking part of your application. Now the next one which we have here is going to be storage. So after computing, the next thing which we require is going to be storage. So if you talk about the applications, all of the applications are requiring storage to save the data. So whether it is some user data, some application configurations, or some large data sets, everything needs to be stored somewhere. Like we should be having certain of the placeholders, and this storage, like, this is often hosted on some servers or some cloud platforms. Like I'll give you example of Google Drive, Google Photos. So if you will see, there is some uh, that is a cloud platform only, because if you want to put some of the photos, because by default it will provide you a storage of 15 GB, right? So if you will see this 15 GB, they are not taking it out of your phone, but they are providing it on the cloud, and from there it is easier for you to access it out. Okay. Now the next one is network. The example which I have just taken will make more sense now. Now, if you want to access these Google Photos, since they are not lying in your phone, but if you want to see your Google Photos, how you will be able to do it? Only with the help of internet. Correct? Because they are stored on the cloud. Like I clearly mentioned, these are those photos which are not there on your phone. So if you want to access them, what you will be needing? Internet. So in the age of internet, no work works in the isolation. We, like we said, we are going to be having different set of servers, we are going to be using a lot of devices for that. If I want everything to communicate with each other, for that we are going to be needing network. So this network is going to be connecting everything, and it is also going to be helping you out in maintaining the data transfer. Like this Google Photo, you will see some option of syncing. So what syncing means, it will take pictures from your phone and it will put it on the cloud. So that is what it does. And sometimes we, if that photo is not there on our phone, we have the option of downloading it down. So how all of these things are happening? So all of these things are happening, like we are maintaining this data transfer between the users, servers, and the databases. And if you will see, without a network, if you talk about any of the application, be it like your Uber, Netflix, that is not going to work. And if you want to make all of these things working, we need to have a internet connection. We need to have a network connection. Okay. Just now I have mentioned that in the infrastructure, what and all things we will be requiring? Some compute, storage, and the network. Now we will see why these three are interconnected. All right. So if you will see here, whenever you are building any of the applications, so these are the components which are going to work together. So if you talk about the computation, so how that app is going to work in the computation field? So it is going to be processing the data on servers, right? Correct. Now we are going to be needing some of the storage as well, because if you talk about this process data, like, I gave you some data and I asked you that, okay, example that bank only. If I'm asking you only the March transactions, after extracting it down, I need to have some of the storage, which is going to have, like, if you want it to present it on your screen, it should be taking some of the memory in the backend, correct? So we will be needing storage for the processed data as well as for the raw information. Correct? So in order to save all of these things, we are going to be needing some storage. Now we need some network. Just now I said, one second. Just now I said in the computation, we are going to be processing data on our servers. So if you want anyone to interact even with those servers, we are going to be needing some of the networks, right? So with the help of network, what we will be doing, if we are having some of the devices, it is going to be providing a communication, or if it will be having some of the servers. So if you want to interact with them, if you want them to access your application, and if you want to share some of the information, so all of those things are going to be happening over the network only. Now we will see whenever we are going to be planning any of the application, how we will go ahead. Yeah, so like, if you are planning for any of the application in that, like, whenever you plan any of the application at that time, you need to perform some of the estimates. You need to come up with something like how much compute you are going to be requiring, how much processing power your application is requiring, because not every application is going to be requiring the same level of processing power. In some of the applications, we may be performing a lot of computations. On the other side, some of the applications are not going to use a lot. Like if you talk about some applications like Amazon, there you need to perform computations at the cart level. You also needed to take out the order history. You also need to perform it when you want to sort your orders, where you want to sort your products on the landing page. So all of those things are actually going to be coming as a part of your compute requirements only. The next one which we have is the storage requirements. Like I just took the example of Amazon. So on that we have variety of products listed on their website. So you should be knowing how much data your application is needing in order to store and access them. The next one is the network. This network also plays a vital role between the different applications. So you should be knowing how much data transfer we need to be using in order to connect to the users and the servers. Example, if you talk about some applications like Netflix, YouTube, since they want to buffer the videos on your devices with the given video quality settings, they are going to be consuming more data. On the other side, if you are using some chatting application where you just want to send a message, text message, that is going to consume lesser. If you want to send some image or video, that is going to take more data. At the same time, if you talk about messaging application, if you are sending hi to someone at, let us say, 11 a.m., you want it to get delivered at the same time to the person you are sending it, right? That means you want a constant network between your server. Otherwise, if let us say you are sending some happy birthday at 12 a.m. and if it is delivering the next day, will it make sense? No, right? So that is how, based upon the different applications, you are going to be deciding how much network capabilities you are going to be needing. So if you talk about all of these things, this computation, storage, and network, so these are actually like the foundation for any of the application, and they are going to be helping you guys in processing the data, the storing the data, to share the data over the internet effectively. So all of these things are very much required to plan before starting working on any of the application. So that's all. We have completed the first module of our system design. Now we are going to be discussing new more things in the next one. So I'll see you there. Till then, happy learning. Bye bye.